For me, when I was in the second grade, I played Dopey in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I was left on stage by myself and singing hi ho, it's off to work we go by myself.
Right.
And everybody in the audience was laughing, and I just remember in that moment, oh, and then they did the, they do the thing where they put the cane out on the stage and they drag me off stage. And so everybody was laughing. I just remember in that moment thinking, wow, this is, I really enjoy this. And so that kind of started or solidified my acting chops from that moment. And then ever since then, I always did school plays, and I was a gymnast as well, but I used to skip gymnastics practice without my parents knowing. And I would get on the bus and I would go downtown and audition for like plays downtown, and I actually got a couple roles and all that kind of stuff. So I just always wanted to be an actor.
Okay. Now, before your I guess your big break with the Rangers, what had you been doing? Had you been doing anything that was TV established or anything like that?
No, I have a really lucky story about moving to Los Angeles. I had graduated from college and I moved to LA to be an actor, and I was really only in Los Angeles for about 3 months, and I landed Power Rangers. So it's not really a common experience for most actors, but I got very lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now, you mentioned something about gymnastics, and I don't know how many people know about this, but you were an accomplished gymnast?
So to speak. I was a competitive gymnast, and so yeah, I did travel around the country and compete, and I was pretty good. For the most part, I was ranked in the state of Montana, or competed for the state of Montana, so I was, at my level, I was like #2 in the state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But that's not saying anything. Not even a million people live in the state of Montana. So.
Well, my dad always said to be #2 at something, it's something good.
Yeah,
so
it's not a problem.
There you go. So now let's go ahead and hit on the Rangers then. How did it get started? How did you find out about it? Give us a story right there.
So in Los Angeles, there's something that most actors look at, something called Backstage West, and it's a listing of a lot of the auditions that are going on in the city. And so you just look in there and you submit yourself for things that you think you would be right for. I originally submitted myself for Jason, the Red Ranger,
Okay.
and I was called in 3 times for that role. But around the 3rd audition, I realized that I probably wouldn't get that role. So I asked the casting directors and producers if I could read for Billy, and they allowed me to. And then from that point, I had 5 more auditions for Billy. So it was a long month-and-a-half process of trying to audition for the show, and eventually I landed the role.
Yeah. Was there ever a point, I guess, looking at it in hindsight now, a lot of the actors that were in the Rangers were unknown actors. Was there any established actors that you saw that were trying to get into the show?
No, because the show was a non-union show.
Okay.
So basically, the only people that could really audition for it were unknowns.
Okay.
So when we went to film the movie in Australia, I mean, there was a lot of talk of having Tina Turner come in and some like really big names be in different roles in the movie, but it
Right.
never really panned out.
Right. Okay. Now, in terms of the Rangers, obviously we all know the characters and all that, but give us a little, I guess, a typical day of filming for the show? Because obviously it was one of those unique shows that it incorporated stock footage from the Japanese programs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course they filmed your guys' scenes as well. Give us a typical day of filming.
Well, the stock footage was actually only used for the first season,
Okay.
and then after that we shot everything in the United States.
Oh, okay.
But a typical day of filming, we shoot 4 episodes at a time. So it's what we call a cluster. And so everything that would be shot in the command center for those 4 episodes, we would shoot, and then we would just keep moving to sets. So then we would go to our juice bar set, and everything for the 4 episodes that took place there, we would shoot. And then we have swing sets like Billy's garage or Billy's lab or somebody's bedroom or something like that. And then we would just kind of shoot all that stuff out. And then typically we'd go out on location, which was typically a park.
Okay.
And we would shoot all that stuff. So always shooting 4 episodes at a time. It gets really confusing because there's a lot going on in 4 episodes, as you can imagine.
Exactly.
And you're constantly changing wardrobe, going to makeup, and just trying to remember where you're at. And typically we worked about 16, I would say 12 to 16 hour days, depending. Yeah.
Now, how in terms of lines, like, would you actually memorize the lines, or just like kind of like read them and then try to improvise a little bit, or, I mean, how would that work?
No, I mean, any good actor, I hope, well, I shouldn't say that, but in my case, you know, it's your job to memorize the lines.
Right.
So I would always memorize my lines the night before, but quite often in television, you'll show up to set that day and they will have rewritten everything you memorized. So then they hand you those lines and you have to do your best to kind of do it. But it's really typical and it's not that difficult. With Billy, my character, because he was smart, he quite often had large words that didn't make sense to me. So I'd have to break out the dictionary quite often and look them up and try to figure out how to make it sound like a human being,
Right.
or how I could make myself sound like a human being to say it. So it was fun and it was challenging and exciting. A fully sentient, multifunctional automaton. That's my favorite line from the pilot episode.
That's great. At what point did you realize, wow, this is a phenomenon, I'm a part of something? You know, because obviously, I mean, here we are 20 years later, actually almost exactly 20 years later.
Yeah, it is 20 years later.
20 years later, and we have huge fan bases. I mean, look at this. We have a panel filled with some of your fans already. We've got Ranger cosplay clubs all over the country. At what point did you know? When did it dawn on you?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we filmed the TV series almost an entire year before it actually started airing, because we had to order 40 episodes, which in television time, that's a lot of episodes. Most shows these days are only 12 to 20 episodes at the most, so 40 episodes is like double the amount of work. So we basically filmed for almost an entire year before it started airing, and then it started airing and it went straight to #1 almost overnight. And I didn't really realize that it was such a big deal until we were scheduled to do a show at Universal Studios. We were just scheduled to do one show. And we went there and like within 2 hours, the 101 freeway in Los Angeles was shut down because the traffic was backed up 10 miles in each direction. And they had to shut down Universal Studios because they had like over 30, I guess it was like 40,000 people. They had too many people coming into the park. And so they asked us, instead of just our one show, if we could do 8. And so we ended up doing 8 shows that day. And I think each one sat somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 people. So it was pretty intense and pretty crazy, but when you experience that, you know, it's kind of like insane to think that you've shut down a freeway in Los Angeles. That they're shutting down Universal Studios, which again is like this crazy thing. And then at the end of the day, you go home and you watch the news and you're on national news. Like, I can remember just seeing it on national news and all that, so it was really exciting.
Yeah. In terms of the fan base, did you get a lot of fan letters? Was there a lot of letters being sent to you guys? Did everybody have like their own favorite Ranger, so they would send you letters? Or?
Sure, I mean, we all would get boxes of fan mail.
Yeah.
And so I know for me, I tried to answer as many as I could. It wasn't always easy.
Right.
But we did our best to answer that.
Right. And how was the chemistry with the Rangers?
The original cast, I mean, we had amazing chemistry. So I think it's unfortunate what happened, like when 3 of them were let go and we brought 3 new ones in. Not that the new ones weren't great either, but the original cast had amazing chemistry because we had all gone through it together. Like we really experienced the downs that we had to go through, like where we all shared a trailer in the beginning to like it getting bigger and we're getting our own trailers and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, the original cast, we had great chemistry together. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I'd like to turn it over to the audience because I know this is basically your panel as well. Are there any questions for Mr. David Yost here? Please, don't be shy.
And
Got a couple of them.
Don't call me Mr.
Okay, there we go. Okay, David.
That makes me feel
I saw
really
2
cool.
hands, so let's go right here.
One thing I wanted to ask is, what's one of your favorite episodes that you can remember?
One of my favorite episodes that I can remember. Well, I shot 200, so there's a lot. And I mean, if anything, the movie is like one of my favorite things that I remember the most, just because it was such an awesome experience. As far as television episodes go, probably just the food fight one, which had Pudgy Pig in it. That was just fun because we got to have an actual food fight, and it was in the beginning, and we were still trying to figure things out. I just remember it being really exciting filming that episode.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yes.
How did you feel like about how they had your character work? You went from like this weakling to like basically, you could say the leader because he was the command center telling informing the characters what they're supposed to do. Like, he went from like pretty much, I don't know, I guess a nothing character to like the.
I think what he means is like
How
his
dare you.
character evolved.
You went from nothing to, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I tried to evolve Billy over my time on the TV show. Because I thought in the beginning, you know, they would have Trini, the Yellow Ranger, interpret what he was saying. And that was always frustrating to me, not only as an actor, but as a human being. Like how frustrating to speak and nobody understands you, and then you have to have your friend translate to your other friends. So I did everything I could to move Billy away from, you know, being that out of touch. And so, you know, it was just a natural progression. I wanted to make sure that people understood that it's okay to be completely intelligent and that you can still kick ass. So that's sort of how I moved Billy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's good. Anybody else? Any questions? Right here. Yes,
Were
sir.
there any like fellow actors on the show that you felt like, man, like you had a really good time with in terms of like you said you had a great chemistry, but you had really fun moments off and on the set with?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. We, you know, we spend 12 to 16 hours a day together, so everybody gets on each other's nerves, but, you know, it's like brothers and sisters. And so, but yeah, I hung out with Jason David Frank a lot off the show, and Amy Jo Johnson as well. So I'm still in contact with everybody, but like I'll be seeing Amy Jo in a couple weeks and celebrating her birthday and everything. So go on Twitter or Facebook and wish her a happy birthday on October 6th. So yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yes, sir. Right here.
How did it feel when you first put on the suit?
Embarrassing. So, you know, you sign up for a show, you just want to be a working actor, and then you find out you have to wear spandex for a lot of the show. And, you know, I have chicken legs, so my legs didn't really fill out the outfit too well. So, I don't know, it's embarrassing, but exciting at the same time.
Good.
Are you working on any projects right now? Like, I know you're a producer and you do, I know it's not, Power Rangers is not your only projects that you've done. Are you working on anything right now or any future projects you're gonna produce?
Yeah, I work on several different shows, or have worked on several different shows. The only one that I'll talk about a couple. The only one that's really gonna start airing again is called Burning Love, which is on the E! Network. And season 1 just aired last year, and we were nominated for a Creative Arts Emmy, which they did the Creative Emmys last weekend, and we didn't win. But it was nice to be nominated for an Emmy. And so season 2 and season 3 will start airing in the next couple months on E! And it's called Burning Love, and it's a scripted comedy. It's a parody of The Bachelor or Bachelorette. A lot of famous stand-up comedians and just really popular comics and some well-known movie stars are in the show. Like Ben Stiller is one of the executive producers on the show. So it's done through his production company. And then there's a couple shows that I've worked on that air on Adult Swim. So one is NTSF, SDSUB, which is a scripted comedy parody, you know, like the CSIs or STCE, all that kind of stuff. So we make fun of that genre of TV. And the other one is called Newsreaders, which is also another parody of like 2020 or Dateline NBC. And also with that production company, they produced Children's Hospital, which did just win the Creative Arts Emmy. So, you know, I'm in good company with a lot of funny people.
That's awesome. If you've never seen Burning Love, I gotta say that the episode with Jennifer Aniston
Yeah.
is hilarious. I mean, Jennifer Aniston makes an appearance. It is hilarious. I mean, how do you guys get them to work? Do they volunteer, or are they just people that know people, or?
Trust me, these actors do not get paid a lot of money to do this show,
Right.
and it's all favors. So it's really nice that Jennifer Aniston did do it, and Ben Stiller even makes a cameo in it.
Yeah.
So you know, it's and his wife Christine Taylor. So yeah, it's great that people sign up to do it.
That's awesome.